Hi everybody, Dr. Friedman here. This is a off session little recording that I'm going to do. If you're not one of my students and you're not a professor interested in the ungrading movement, this video probably won't be of much interest to you. My goal here is to kind of briefly discuss something that I've got written into my syllabus, but sometimes it's a little bit more useful for some kinds of learners to hear something spoken out loud. This is week 1 of the semester. At the end of week 2, every student in the class will be asked to create an individual grading contract that I'll look over and that we will collectively agree on. There's a couple of parameters that all grading contracts will include. All students will be responsible for reading, viewing any assigned material for class through Perusall, an online collective annotation software. I'll be basically checking to see that the files get open. It's kind of as simple as that. My hope is that Perusall, especially since we're going to have colleagues who are unavailable either through quarantine or other kinds of things this semester, sometimes that'll be the only way discussion happens. So Perusall, I think, is a really great place to put reaction GIFs, to ask questions of each other. You can also tag me in. Use descriptive hashtags to keep track of ideas across documents that you might want to mine for later projects. So that's one thing that everyone's going to do. Everyone's going to check in with me at mid-semester to see how the grading contract is going and whether we need to renegotiate anything. Everything that you contract to do will be assessed as satisfactory or unsatisfactory. If you totally blow off an assignment and submit utter garbage, I'm going to tell you that it's unsatisfactory and that you need to redo it. That's it. I'm happy to talk to students in office hours and other appointments about ways of thinking about what you're doing or challenges or excitements that are coming up. But this is very simply, you do it or you don't do it, and you do it to a kind of acceptable standard. And finally, every student will create a final self-assessment of what you did this semester, pointing to the language of your contract, but also talking about what you learned, what surprised you, what are the through lines of your learning process. This is what teachers and educators refer to as a metacognitive exercise. In other words, it's you thinking about your thinking. My hope is, as many metacognitive exercises are often wont to do, it's a really good moment to look back and reflect on how far you've come, where you were at the beginning and where you are now. This is kind of the same way as I am a very amateur power lifter. You periodically do kinds of tests of, what can you do now? You put in the work day by day. It's hard to know whether you're making any progress until those moments when you kind of look back, test to your max, do those kinds of reflections. This doesn't require heavy metal. So, hey, that's good. Every student is here for different kinds of reasons and needs different kinds of things. So grading contracts are designed to reflect that. If you want an A, or as I'm calling it for this class, being dubbed a master of the realm, you will make meaningful annotations on all the Perusall readings and viewings except for 2. And that doesn't include if you have any technical difficulties with videos. I understand that with video content, Perusall can still be a little bit iffy with some browsers. So that is not included in the count. Although I do expect you to watch them. You just might not be annotating them in the same way. Take no more than one information overload day during the semester. And information overload days, which I totally credit, as much of this assignment is credited to Ryan Cordell, are a day where you just say, I'm in class, I'm here, I'm present, but I couldn't do the reading. Please don't call on me. I'm here to kind of, but my brain is on fire and I just need to kind of step back for a bit. You can't take an information overload day to get past a deadline that you've set with me, but it's a useful way of just kind of having a get out of jail free card. Although hopefully class isn't jail. You know what I mean. A-level students will complete 8 satisfactory reports, and that's a combination of tasks that you pick with deadlines you establish for yourself. So it's a 15-week semester. 8 of these reports could be 1 a week for the early part of the semester when you know you don't have as much work. Skipping weeks when maybe you have a paper or major assignment or major test in another part of your education. Those are going to be things that take a couple of hours, either playing a game and writing up a kind of quick report on how the play went, watching an actual play, which, as we're going to talk about in class, actual plays run anywhere from an hour to 4 hours long, depending on which one you're picking. I've included a list of some first episodes of some popular podcasts and actual play videos in Perusall, organized by theme. And I'm happy to point you in the right direction of something that's of interest to you. You, of course, can also go off-road. If you YouTube search or Twitch search actual play, you'll find a lot of material of very widely varying levels of production value, and lots of different game systems to play around with. You can also read scholarly articles and do précis, which are kind of like summaries, but you're breaking down what the argumentative structure is, what's the knowledge that's being collected. All of these projects, all of these tasks have little forms that I've built out in Canvas that you can fill out to answer the questions so that you know that you're completing all of the parts of the task that I'm asking you to do. If you'd like to create your own kind of extra exercises, maybe you want to kind of have more of a making track in these assignments, you can write it into your grading contract, and I will craft particular assignments that you can submit in Canvas so that you can get acknowledgement. So if you're working on a digital project and you want to kind of spend time learning some new tools, and that's how you want to spend a few hours to write up a report, there's one assignment that I've got plugged in that I hope most folks will work with because we're going to do it in class, of playing around with Twine online, the interactive fiction, nonlinear fiction story creator. So that's also fair game as far as I'm concerned. A-level participation in that respect is going to be 8 of those reports that are satisfactory, and then the scale goes down to C-level participation is doing 6 of those. A-level students will do 2 unessays in the semester, and I'm discussing unessays really broadly on Canvas, but I want to, and I've talked about this a little bit in class, but I want to kind of reiterate in a place that's recorded that you can kind of go back to. Unessays are unstructured by design. Instead of having you conform your learning and your analysis and your takeaways into a prescribed format that has all kinds of rules, instead, I want you to have the spirit of inquiry and analysis and thought that also includes thinking about what's the right way that I want to communicate whatever it is that you're gaining insight into. So we have about a third of the class are education majors. It's entirely possible that some number of them will want to select a structure from their educational kind of training, either creating a suite of assignments, creating a syllabus, creating a set of lessons that are connected to the learning that they're doing in this class. Totally fine. They don't have to. It's not like your major does not determine anything in this course. If you are one of our friends from COSAM or engineering and what you really want to do is write something for once that's creative and create a new campaign setting or create a new indie game or a zine, great. Welcome to the College of the Liberal Arts. We're glad to have your brain for a minute. All of those are fair game. Every student will complete at least one and submit it at the end of the semester. A-level students will submit another one at some point earlier in the semester. And so if you want to talk to me about ideas that you're having, that's going to be elicited from you in your week 5 reflections as we think about what's going to happen at mid-semester in terms of what are we collectively going to be focusing in on for the middle of the semester. But you're also, of course, always welcome to have a conversation with me. And this is where I remind you that you're my only students this semester. I'm extraordinarily privileged to be able to treat this almost like I would a graduate course. It's a little large for a graduate course, but it's pretty little for an undergraduate course. And so my goal is to coach you as you pursue your own learning. All of the students in this class are closer to graduation than not. And so you've got a lot of experience with people telling you what to do and you executing. Now it's time for you to think about what are the tasks, what are the goals that you have, and how do you execute them? I'm here as the expert to kind of help guide you and shape that vision as you need it to help you build the scaffolding that will get you wherever you need to go, to provide roadmaps from what students and colleagues have done in the past to get wherever it is you want to go. But this is your learning. And that's why we have the grading contracts, so that I really can be the guide on the side as opposed to the sage on the stage. It's a lot of work for my students who are also education majors. It's a lot of work to do this, a lot of front-end thinking, a lot of back-end, a lot of back and forth with students. But what it isn't a lot of is soul-sucking grading, where the students don't look at feedback. I certainly didn't look at feedback as an undergrad because it was enormously stressful. But instead, an ongoing conversation. Also, my goal is that we will all have a sense of investment and urgency. You're the one who's picking the goals, so hopefully they matter to you. Everything is, potentially able to change, but what I find, especially for some of my more neurotypical students, these kinds of structures that we put in place early can be really useful. And I have them due at the end of the second week because hopefully all of the rest of your classes have made it clear what they expect from you. So you can make a schedule for your work in this class, beyond the reading and stuff that we're going to do every day, to figure out how this class fits into your other rhythms. So that's ungrading, the grading contract, why I'm doing this, and what are the components of it. If you have further questions, of course, you can always find me on Discord, send me an email, or we can talk about this in class, shockingly enough. If enough students ask me the same question, I'll always bring it up in class, or I'll record a video here, or more likely, I'll do both. Stay safe, stay healthy, and it is almost Thursday. Talk to you soon.